Hey everybody, it's your boy Luke or GN Jerome here, and in today's video I want to do a special edition of the Lemire Files, so I won't be going through any of Lemire's actual works, I guess. Instead, I want to talk about some of the announcements he's made over this summer and just give my thoughts on all of them, because he's announced a lot of different things and I'm very intrigued and interested to go over some of them with you guys. All the way back on June 4th, Lemire posted a short little thing, and basically he announced that for Black Hammer's 10th anniversary, they would be doing a facsimile edition of #1. And because of that, we are also getting this incredible cover, which I am very ecstatic about. I think Jeff Lemire did a great job. Obviously, guys, if you didn't know this, Jeff Lemire is not only my favorite writer, he's also my favorite artist, which, yeah, duh. I think his artwork is super unique and super cool, and I think he did a fantastic job taking Ormston's original piece and turning it into something of his own. I really love just the look of this, and I really want it really bad. They haven't given a date as to when this is going to drop yet, but I am absolutely in love with this cover, and I will be getting that day one no matter what. If this could be a 1 in 100 variant, I will try and track down this. I need it really bad. He also gave us another cover for Crowbound #1, which I'll talk about Crowbound a little bit more later in this video. But yeah, I think this is a cool cover. I'm not honestly a huge fan of any of the variant covers for issue 1, nor am I a huge fan of the cover for issue 1 itself. Despite that, I think this one's pretty cool. I am gonna get the other cover that the wraparound cover that Nugent did, though. I actually really like that cover. That's the one I'm going to go for this. Okay, so the next thing that he announced was Crowbound #1, now available to order. So September is the official release date for this series. I don't know the actual release date off the top of my head. Despite that, he gave us the first look at some of the different pages for this book, and I think they looked pretty cool. I really like this page. I talked about this page in my review for issue 1 on Comic Geeks, which, wait, did I just say this book doesn't come out till September? What the heck, how did I already get it? But my comic book store was able to get one of the Ashcan copies for Crowbound, and of course I got it. They were charging $15 though, and I was like, damn, it's a bit expensive. But I didn't care. It's the new big Jeff Lemire book, and I knew I needed to have it. And I'm excited. I'm glad that I was able to read it early. I think that it was actually really good. But yeah, I was really happy with how this first issue played out. I was surprised because from some of these, it looks a bit wordy for Jeff Lemire, because sometimes Jeff Lemire can be pretty wordy. You know, usually he does a good balance in terms of like keeping a steady pace throughout his comic books. But some of like early Descender is like very, very much wordy. Same for Trillium. Those are both sci-fi stories, and I was kind of worried about this one being a bit in that lane, but despite that, it's like very character focused and very much so about one character the entire time. And there's not like a huge lore dump about anything really going on, and there's some pretty cool visual moments. It's pretty violent, it's pretty dark, and I was kind of I was surprised, but I did enjoy just how like evil it is. But yeah, anyways, Crowbound #1. Oh, actually, wait, look at this. This has all the different artists. So I want the number or the cover C, the wraparound variant. I think that one's really cool. There's no picture of it, sadly. The Martin Simons one is also pretty cool. 1 in 25 though, so no way. I do wish Jeff Lemire himself was gonna do a cover for this book, but it's fine, honestly. It's also a cool cover. Is this a cover? I don't even know. That's a cool image though. I'm not gonna... But yeah, so I was able to read the first issue already. It was pretty nice, pretty cool. I am a fan so far. I'm excited to see where this goes. All right, so I've been meaning to talk about this for a while now. So endings and beginnings. There's some very interesting stuff that Jeff Lemire announces here, and some of it was really shocking. So let's start with Minor Arcana. So he announced that Minor Arcana is officially going to be ending at issue 24. So originally, Jeff Lemire had announced that Minor Arcana, well, he never announced it technically, but one rumor that I saw was Minor Arcana was going to be 48 issues, and I was kind of on board with it either being 48 issues or even 60 issues. I actually believed it was going to be 60 because the first arc, and well, not the first arc, but the first 2 arcs basically, and at issue 15 with the other flashback. I thought, because he originally announced that it was going to be 4 deluxe hardcovers, so once that happened, I thought, okay, there's going to be 12 normal volumes, which are going to equal up to 60 issues, which is a long run because this series has been going since 2024, I believe. And we're only at issue 15 now. So it's kind of slow moving, honestly. Despite that, I do really like this series, but I do wish that it was more so Lemire doing the art. I know, obviously, it's tough. He's writing a lot of different books and he has his new Royal City coming out sometime next year, I believe. But I'm not as big of a fan of the artwork from the other artist who regularly does the guest artwork. Despite that, the new arc started out pretty good. It is shocking though that like this is like it. Like there's only 2 more volumes before Minor Arcana is done. I really thought this was going to be like a long ongoing series. I think some of the pacing during the first couple issues is kind of strange now in hindsight, just because it started out pretty slow moving, I would say. And I was okay with that because I imagined this would be a very, very long series. But knowing how short it low-key is kind of weird. Also, the fact that this book's only going to be 24 issues and not 25 is even weirder because all the arcs so far, to my recollection, have been like 5 issues. So it is kind of weird. It does feel like, I know Lemire saying he found a natural stopping point for the series, but it does kind of feel like either it was canceled due to low sales and then he was able to find some ending that he liked because of that, or what. But it's just, I don't know, something feels a bit off. And I know obviously we're never gonna get like a true answer as to what happened to Minor Arcana. It might just be as like cut and paste as, oh no, there really isn't more, like that was the entire story. But I don't know, I was just expecting a lot more, especially with all the different characters that we saw in the covers. I was like, oh, okay, cool. First book's going to be about her, second book's going to be about her mom, third one's going to be about the grandpa, fourth one's going to be about the secret cabal, bring everything together. But we're not going to get that. We're really not, and it kind of sucks. But overall, Minor Arcana has been really solid so far, and it just sucks to see that this book is coming to an end soon. But yeah. He also reiterated about freaking the Facsimile edition, as well as stuff about Crowbound, which is cover for issue 3. I don't even remember seeing, but looks pretty cool. One other thing he talked about is Absolute Flash. I don't know what I was going to say, but he's bringing it back to the Atom, which the Atom, if you guys didn't know, is actually the first character Lemire wrote for DC. So it's pretty cool to see him coming back to these characters, bro. I enjoy Absolute Flash. It's not my favorite comic of all time. I'll talk more about it in the next episode of the Lemire Files, wink wink, DC Part 3, whenever I get around to writing that. But yeah, I don't know. I like Absolute Flash. It's not my favorite book in the world. I feel like some of the pacing is weird. It moves a little bit too fast at times, and I just don't have a big connection with the Flash mythos in general. So remember, guys, my Green Lantern video? I might have to do one of those for Flash at some point and get really into the Flash. But yeah. And then they also announced that Fury of Firestorm is now going to be a 9-issue book, which I'm really down for. I actually really like Fury of Firestorm. I think that's some of the best work that Lemire has done for DC in years. Dare I say it'll end up being his best book? I don't know. I do think it's really solid so far. I think the artwork has been like insanely good. The last issue at the time of recording wasn't my favorite. It slows down a little bit, but knowing now that the book is now going to be 9 issues instead of, I think it was originally like 6 or 7 issues, keeps me intrigued and keeps me happy with it. And I'm very excited to see where it goes because this book has been really unique and really interesting lately. So his new Royal City, what does it even say? Scheduled to come out from Image in fall 2027. Damn, I didn't realize it was that far in the future. That is actually kind of insane. It's it's over a year from now. Despite that, I'm absolutely excited for this. I mean, obviously it's more artwork from Lemire, so that's always great. But Royal City is one of my favorite Jeff Lemire comics, and I am very excited to see what he does with this. It's going to be a prequel. I believe it's a prequel. I could be wrong. I remember that's what it said originally. It could be, let's say, Long Promise Arena. Well, it just says New Royal City. So, I mean, it could be either or at this point. It's changed so much over the years, but very excited to see what Jeff Lemire has going on. He also has some stuff like Mr. Oblivion, which I briefly mentioned in the last Lemire Files, but Mr. Oblivion is going to be they already announced, oh look, 5 graphic novels he's writing, but look, 3 of those are Mr. Oblivion. So this is a book he's writing with Teddy Christiansen, who also did the artwork for Spiral City, and I'm pretty excited. They haven't really announced anything about this book, but the cover for issue 1, or cover for volume 1, is pretty cool. So we're going to be getting it from 2027 to 2029. That's a lot of Jeff Lemire content, and I don't have no clue what these other 2 graphic novels he's going to do for this imprint are going to be, but I am assuming one of them will be an original graphic novel by him in terms of like doing the artwork as well. So I am very excited to see what that turns into and where all this stuff goes. This is like the majority of what I was interested in. But yeah, one of the other announcements he made is Phantom Road. So Phantom Road is going to be returning in fall 2027, which again is like another huge break. It's like a whole year. So Phantom Road is a book that I was actually a pretty big fan of when I read it, but it had ended at issue 12, and they eventually did like a relaunch of it late last year. But because I read the rest of the series digitally, I didn't want to buy it physically. So I think the only Yeah, I only have issue 1 of Phantom Road because I have the issue 1 Lemire cover. But I really like the series, and I really am excited for there to be more of it, but I might wait until the entire series is done before I really dive in. I think he said this is going to be 25 issues, and the next one's going to be the last arc, or there'll be an arc after it. But these breaks are kind of crazy. This is like James Tynion level breaks, but I know they say in the stuff that like... Actually, let's read through it. I don't even know why I'm just like sitting here. Current plan, yeah. Series wraps up at issue 25, which is cool. I'm just guessing it's like sales and stuff that's causing, you know, this book to get delayed so heavily. It's kind of just a passion project for the people working on it at this point. Finally, during his freaking Comic-Con stuff, we got the announcement of the Black Hammer 10th anniversary stuff. So let me check that real quick. So we got this like incredible art print by Mark Buckingham. When I first saw it, I was kind of like, what? This is what we got from Mark Buckingham? But the more that I see it, the more I'm like, yeah, this actually is really cool. And we got the announcement the other day that Mark Buckingham is officially doing the art for a 12-issue series in the Black Hammer universe, which is fantastic because Jeff Lemire is my favorite writer. Black Hammer is tied for my favorite comic book. Mark Buckingham is not my favorite artist, but Fables is my favorite comic of all time. So having Black Hammer and Fables come together in this way is so cool to me. He said in something that's going to be like an entirely new cast of characters, entirely new story. And I don't know what any of that could fully mean yet, because we haven't really had a Black Hammer spinoff. I don't want to say spinoff, because it's going to be the sequel to Spiral City from what I know, to be so far removed from everything else. But I am intrigued and I'm very excited to see what comes next, because the Black Hammer universe is without a doubt my favorite comic book universe besides DC's gigantic library of comics. And I'm always down for Black Hammer. And you know what? I'm just going to include this in this video because I thought it was funny, but when I did my mini... I guess I never even explained this. So guys, for you Jeff Lemire fans, here's some crazy lore. Me and Jeff Lemire, we had an interview scheduled, but unfortunately it wasn't able to happen just due to complications with scheduling and whatever. But he did answer some questions over email. And during that, I jokingly asked, I was like, oh, Jeff Lemire, can I write a Black Hammer spinoff? Just as a joke. And he was like, unfortunately not, because apparently, this is what he said. So Jeff Lemire, if you ever announce a new Black Hammer book, I'll know. But he said that from here on out, every Black Hammer book is going to be written by himself, which I find to be really interesting because a lot of Phase 2 of Black Hammer just wasn't written by Lemire. So it is interesting to see him take over the reins, and it's very indicative to me that the next phase of Black Hammer will be not only very curated, but also very much like leading to an exact endpoint, more so than just fleshing out the world by introducing more and more and more characters, which kind of seemed to be the case during Phase 2. But Jeff Lemire, if anyone else gets freaking added as a writer on Black Hammer, I'll know. I know, and all our freaking fans will know. So yeah. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. I kind of just want to talk about all these random books and some of these updates. If you guys are interested in updates like this for, I don't know, any announcements related to Jeff Lemire, let me know. I guess I'll do more of these as the months go on. But this month in specific, because of SDCC and summertime, you know, there's obviously going to be a lot more announcements. So I guess I could just do this like every couple of months. But yeah, that'll do it for this extra episode of the Lemire Files. See you guys in the next one.